Nerds, here we are, 350 kilometres above Adelaide, about the height of Electric Jesus's Starlink satellites, and here's a round feature called the Acraman crater. It's really deeply eroded. It's in the Gawler Ranges of South Australia. It's about 20 kilometres across and about 580 million years old. And it was much larger than this. They found a very big layer of ejecta all over South Australia, as far away as the Flinders Ranges, 300 kilometres away. Its large size, they reckon there was an impact of about 5 to 10 megatons of TNT. It was named after a bloke called John Acraman, who was a South Australian businessman and got himself immortalised. But, you know, speaking of megatons of TNT, we should sort of go and have a look at some other craters in South Australia while we're here. Let's go up to Maralinga. Righto, so we're just leaving Lake Acraman and heading up to Maralinga at about the speed that F-111 could do it if we had any left. But current fighters wouldn't keep up with us. So Maralinga, I think we all know, is a really nice little place in the South Australian desert. And here it is here. A nice big airfield there, but what do we got out here? Here's some artificial craters up in the desert just to the north. Look at those big areas where there's nothing growing. Wonder what could be happening there. Let's spend a little more time on this subject. So of course the Maralinga area had been inhabited by the Aboriginal people for tens of thousands of years, anthropologically forever. But that didn't stop anyone. To quote Bob Menzies in Parliament, quote, "No conceivable injury to life, men or property could emerge from these tests." Well, when he meant men, he didn't mean, people with dark skin, I suspect. We'll talk more about Bob. So, the British decided they needed to test their nuclear weapons somewhere. So they found a nice big place where no one lived, and away they went. So they had a series of really 3 tests, 2 critical tests where they had nuclear explosions, and some subcritical tests. In fact, the subcritical tests have made most of the bloody mess. So the first test was Buffalo. They had Buffalo, One Tree, Morocco and Kite. One Tree was on the 27th of September in 1955, and it was a tower explosion of 15 kilotons using a device called Redbeard. Morocco was on the 4th of October. They did let that go on the surface, just sat her on the ground and pressed the button to have a look at the weapon's effect, and that device was called Blue Danube. It was 1.5 kilotons, fairly small weapon. Kite, the 11th of October 1956, was airdropped. Again, weapons developed. That was a Blue Danube. Again, 3 kilotons, fairly small weapons. Then the last one was Breakaway, 21st of October 1956. That was a tower, another Redbeard device, 10 kilotons. So they were ramping up. Then they went on to another series called Antler. Tajay, which was the 14th of September, a tower weapons test, a device called Pixie. 930 tons, that's not even a kiloton. That is critical, but it must have only adjust. Then there was BRAC, 25th of September, a tower test, 6 kilotons. Then Tanaki was on the 9th of October. That was a balloon test at 26 kilotons. That's a fairly big weapon. And they had 550 other minor trials. These are subcritical trials, where they just blew plutonium up to see what happens. That is an oversimplification, but you know what I mean. And they had lovely names like the Kitten series, the Tim series, the Rat series, the Vixen series. They have just spread plutonium all over the South Australian desert. And of course, Menzies did nothing about it. He was an utter sycophant. He was called Pig Iron Bob, and after this, Plutonium Bob. Although no one knew about it because it was kept a secret. The Aboriginal people knew it was a secret because they couldn't go back on their land anymore. And we ended up cleaning it up several times. It's still contaminated. We've spent hundreds of millions of dollars doing this, and the job's not done yet. And that stuff's going to be there for quite some time. Plutonium is extremely dangerous in the environment. Apart from the fact that it's radioactive, it's also extremely poisonous. And it is not particularly biodegradable, like, at all. So anyway, let's have a look at some... why don't we let Bob tell us, out of his own mouth?
Well, hello. My name is Sir Robert Gordon Menzies, KTAKCHQCFAAFRS. But you can call me Sir Bob. I was a career politician and a major British sycophant. My overt sucking up to the Queen even made her blush. The Australian Liberal Party treat me as a god. It is rumoured that all new Liberal candidates must acknowledge there is only one God, and his name is Bob, or no pre-selection. I had another name, you know, Pig Iron Bob, as I forced the waterside workers to load iron and send it to Japan when it was pretty obvious they were going to turn it into bombs and drop it back over Darwin and most of Asia. I am also known as Plutonium Bob, for letting the British test their nuclear weapons and spread plutonium all over the South Australian deserts in the 1960s, and then letting them just bugger off and leave future generations with the big clean-up bill.